13 days ago, I made these 3 dough balls. It's my base recipe. I mixed up the ingredients in the KitchenAid, let the let the dough rest for an hour, and then shaped them into balls. These two right here, I put in the freezer immediately after making the dough balls, and then this one here, I let it rest at room temperature for another hour, and then put in the freezer just to see if it's going to make a difference at all. So today I'm going to make pizzas with these two, and I'm gonna put this one back in the freezer for another couple weeks or month or something, and just test it out later. And then I've got my stock dough ball that I made last night. I'm gonna compare it to. So I'm gonna put them in the bowls right now and see how long it takes for them to rise up to where we want them to be. So you can tell this one's a little bit large already from the extra hour of rise at room temperature. All right, it's been 9 hours since I took those balls out of the freezer, which is a lot longer than I was anticipating. It was so long that I did a Google search to see if freezing dough will actually kill yeast, and it turns out it does. They say between 30 and 50% of the yeast will die in a freezer. So I didn't know that. Maybe you guys already knew that. I didn't know that. I just thought it would slow it down, because I have seen a formula online, an actual mathematical formula that tells you the rate that dough will rise based off of the air temperature and the amount of yeast and all that. And I just thought it would slow it down a lot. I didn't know it was going to kill it. So that makes sense. It took a long time, 9 hours. The dough looks fine. It's a little bit more, it's not, it doesn't have as much volume as normally. You probably can't tell from the video, but normally it's a little bit higher and just has more volume, a little bit flatter. But we're going to see how it tastes. It smells good. It actually smells pretty good. So let's get started. The oven's ready. Okay, first observation is it's really lightweight and doesn't feel super strong. It came out a little bit flat. It's acting like it's over-rised, even though it's not. Like it never got fully rised. It just kind of rised into a flat ball to begin with. I've been watching it all day long. So that's that. Let's see how it turns out. So I don't think it's going to be quite as airy as I'd like, but we'll see how the taste is. Because what I'm going for here is a pizza dough that could be, on hand whenever you want. But I don't think we're going to get that if it's 9 hour rise. I mean, I guess you could make them and take it out of the freezer the night before you're ready to bake them or something. But 9 hours is just kind of an awkward rise time. I guess you could take it out first thing in the morning if you're going to have dinner that day. Let's just see how it turns out. I'll check back in about 4.5 minutes. All right, it's been 4.5 minutes. Let's see. It looks pretty good through the window here. So, yeah, it is flatter around the rim. Crust looks good. It's just kind of flat, dense. So, we'll see. I'm going to let the oven load back up, and then we'll put my stock recipe one in. I'm looking at my other dough that I put in the freezer, and I've been poking it to see if it rebounds, and it's not. So when you have a good dough ball, like this is my stock recipe one I made last night, when you poke it, it's going to bounce back. It just is like really, like spongy. But if the dough's been over fermented, it gets flat and doesn't rebound. It just leaves a hole in it. I don't know how well you can see. You can see I've been poking it. It has all these holes in it. This is kind of weird because it never actually got to the ideal state, the ideal volume, and then depressed. It just kind of rose to this flat pile of dough, which I don't like. So I already know I'm not going to love this recipe a ton. I'm going to not make this one. I'll just be wasting ingredients. It's like the other one. I think it's close enough. So I'm going to make my stock recipe here so we can compare the two. So that felt a lot better. My stock recipe is just so much stronger and more elasticy. We are at 618 degrees. We're good to go. All right, I'll check back in about 4.5 minutes. Okay, it's looking good through the window. Let's check it out. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to put this other one back in for just 1 minute to warm up. Here we go, finished product. This is the one that was in the freezer. This is my regular stock recipe right here. You can tell that this rim is just not as, voluminous. It's not bad. It's got its good parts to it, but it's just like some flat spots around here. My stock recipe, it just, you probably can't hear that, but it sounds different when I push down. I can feel it has more of a spongy feel to it, a lot more air in there. So let's cut it up and see how they taste. Okay, let's try the freezer recipe first. Yeah, it's pretty good flavor, actually. Even, look, the freezer recipe is a lot more flimsy than my regular one. See that? And the regular one also has like a thicker bottom. They both look about the same on the back. It's just this one's a lot more robust. The flavor is actually really similar. I think that the flavor of the freezer one is actually a little bit more strong, a little more flavorful. It's more flavorful because of the long rise. But actually very, very similar. So here's the final result. I was hoping I could get this to work because I thought it'd be cool to have a bunch of freezer balls in the freezer. You could just take out whenever you need them, and make some pizza. That'd be easy, it'd be fast. But I'm not super impressed with the results. Like I said, the dough came out just deflated. It never fully rised, and it's a little bit, not really, but it's pretty flat, and it's not that strong. It's more dense. It doesn't have the nice spongy, crispy feel to it. When I take a bite out of my stock recipe, the outside is both crispy, but the inside is spongy. Just a great sensation. So I'm gonna have to pass on the freezer method. At least I know now. So hope you learned something too. Thanks.